Don't be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man soweth, that shall he reap.
This program has been made possible by the partners of G.I. Adams worldwide.
Today we are with the understanding.
Welcome to the Soul and Soul podcast with G.I. Adams.
Peace, love, light, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Soul and Soul podcast. I'm your host, G.I. Adams, here to spread the message of authenticity while impacting lives through freedom, faith, and mind hearts. Today, we're going to talk about sowing. And we'll start off with this scripture that comes out of the book of Galatians, that don't be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man soweth, that shall he reap. And so I want to talk about what you sow is important because you will reap the things that you sow. The things that you do, the deeds that you put out in the world, you're going to reap exactly what you put out there. So if you're going to put down bad seeds, negativity, negative talk, negative thinking, guess what you're going to reap? You're going to reap a negative outcome. If you're always pessimistic in a situation, always pessimistic throughout life, then your outcome will more than likely be something negative. But when you think of those things that are peaceful, those things that are lovely, those things that bring good report, those things that have good virtue, then you will receive peace and you will receive tranquility. No, it's not saying that everything around you is going to always be beautiful, but it does allow you to receive it in a better light. It allows you to receive it in a better perspective. That's why we believe that it's important that whatever you sow, you will reap. Whatever you sow, even into your own mind, you will reap it. When you always think about negative things, you're going to always have negative results. You think about positive things, more than likely you're going to have positive results. And so we're going to go through, and this is the time where it's important for us to start sowing so that when spring comes, we'll have something that we can reap, something that we can harvest. And so today, y'all going to join me in planting a few seeds. The first thing that we're going to plant are potatoes. Potatoes are starches. It is something that we always eat here in America. Rather it is a baked potato, rather it is mashed potatoes, rather it is French fries, rather it is roasted potatoes, rather it's you just making fufu or whatever you want to make. Potatoes are used in many food dishes. And it can also be useful for the body as well if you know how to use it. So we're going to sow some potatoes in a nice little bucket. For those who don't have a big old farm or a big old land, don't worry about that because we're going to show you how to do it in even a small area. So we're going to start with that. Y'all stay tuned to the Soul and Soul podcast. I know you're tired of feeling dusty and crusty, so go to www.giadams.com/shop and get your self-care essentials. 100% organic and handmade with love. All right, so we have our potato. Now, we have a variety of potatoes, in fact. We have the Idaho potatoes, you know, those big ones that is really good for, baked potatoes. Now we have the red potato, which is good for, seafood boils and every now and then roasting. These are good. The other potato that you could have is gold potatoes. Gold potatoes are very good for mashed potatoes, opposed to the Idaho potato, which is good for French fries and good for baked potatoes, and the red potato, which is really good for roasting and boils. The yellow or other than the known gold potatoes, are really good for those good old creamy mashed potatoes. So it's really important that you know what you're planting and how to plant it. So now that we have these potatoes, you can see that we have eyes. For those who are looking at us on YouTube, you can see that we have eyes on these potatoes, and you see how they look weird. They look real weird, don't they? But what we're going to do is, and I want to cut this, but I'm not going to cut it because it got so many eyes on the potato itself. So I'm going to plant the whole thing. I could cut it up in sections where I see it, but I don't feel like cutting anything. I'm going to be lazy this time. It's still going to grow, and it's going to still yield a whole bunch of fruit. So I'm not worried about that. Nevertheless, we're going to plant the eyes up so that it's facing the sky, right? Because when we plant them, we want it to grow down. It's going to grow all over. And what I want to do is I'm going to show y'all using a 5-gallon bucket how to do that. And so we're going to sow these good seeds down in the ground so that we can yield a bountiful harvest and the months coming. And you all will be able to join the journey, and y'all going to actually see it being sown, and then you're going to actually see us receiving a harvest from it in a few days. It's going to take roughly about, I think, 180 days, if my mind serves me right, to really harvest a whole heap of potatoes. It's going to be a year-round thing. I'm going to have plenty of buckets so that I can always have potatoes at the house. That way we can bring down the costs of us going to the store to buy a whole bunch of potatoes. In fact, that we don't know where it really came from. So we have gotten our potatoes, we're going to sow them ourselves, and then we're going to put them in a bucket. We got the eyes up, and so we have a few buckets around here that we're going to use to put these potatoes in. So I'm going to show y'all one of these buckets that we have. We got this bucket, 5-gallon bucket. What we're going to do is, it's empty right now. We're going to add some dirt to this bucket. Then after we're going to add dirt, we're going to put potatoes in. We're going to let the dirt pile up for about 4 inches, and then we're going to top it with some hay, and then we're going to allow it to do what it do out here outside. It is late January, and this should be here, I say, either late March, mid-April. We should see something come out of it by then, because in 10 days you'll be able to see it even sprout into something. So we'll add some dirt to this, but before we add dirt to this, we got to make sure that the bucket, the 5-gallon bucket, has holes at the bottom of it. That way that moisture can escape, but still when you moisturize it, you'll still be able to be in there, and then it'll come on down. But what we're going to do is we're going to fill this thing up with some dirt. After we fill it with dirt, then we're going to plant the seed into the ground. That way it can be producing some good stuff. Now, when you are planting, you got to make sure that you're planting in a good soil and good ground. You want to be able to have rich soil, and that is going to provide with the nutrients that the plant needs for it to create roots and for it to thrive. You want the good conditions, good environment, and that's where we are. We are all seeds, and we need to be placed in good environments in order to produce good fruit. Just the same as the seeds that you're planting, whatever you're sowing out there into the world, you got to make sure that it's being sowed into good environments. Because if you are just trying to sow good things around a bad area, most of the times people won't be able to receive it because they're so stuck in being one way, being bad in that area. Yes, you need to sow your value around the world as much as you possibly can, don't get me wrong, but don't give what's good to swine. The scripture talks about not throwing your pearls out to the swine. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to see its value. They're going to just trample over it. Some of them might even just eat it and stink it out, you know. But we want to make sure that what we're doing is we're planting good things so that we can produce good things, right? So in order for us to plant good things, we got to make sure that we have good soil, good foundation, so that it can build with good fruit. So we're going to put some good soil. We have a little mixture going on, and I have another video of the type of dirts that we put together. We'll link it to this video if the Lord's will. After a while, to be able to see exactly how we put that dirt together and made what we're making. All right? So it's important that we get connected to something that is good so that we too can produce good fruit. Whatever you are attached around, wherever your environment is, you're going to start receiving and doing all the same things. It says, that evil communication corrupts good manners. Evil company causes you to be evil too and start displaying those things that are not righteous, those things that are not good for the body, those things that are not good and uplifting. So it's important that you too are around good environments, good teaching, wholesomeness, not people who are manipulative and narcissistic and just mean and nasty. You want people to be around you, and you want to be around people who are elevational, those who are strengthening, those people who are soulful. And this is what this podcast is all about, building and enriching the soul. So you are in good company. You are in good ground right here. So come on and plant yourself into this place. Continue to share. Go ahead and like. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this YouTube, because we got some good stuff in store. Each week, we're trying our best to make sure that we have our podcast out to you every Thursday. And I think that this is a good space for us to grow together, for us to garden together, for us to build in our soul. If you are a creative, if you are a yogi, if you are a person who are spiritual or seeking mindfulness techniques, if you are a millennial, if you are Gen Z, this really is tailored to you to help you grow and be full in every way, balance in body, soul, and spirit. And what we try our best to do is to lead you to peace, love, light. That's what our whole heart is, to lead everybody to peace, love, light. So you're going to be presented with a lot of things to really feel the soul. All right? So we putting our dirt in our bucket. All right, so we got 4 inches of dirt here. You want to make sure that the dirt is real loose. You see how loose this dirt is? You want to be able to do some stuff with it so that everything can grow in it. So I think I put about 6 inches of dirt in here. Really should have been 4. But what we're going to do is we're going to put that potato that we showed y'all earlier, the Idaho potato, eyes up, into the bucket, right? So I'm going to show y'all what that looks like. Just like that. And then we're going to cover it with some hay. That hay, all that hay is going to do is just break down on top of that. Watch. And then we're going to add a little bit of water, so we got the hay to it. Got a good covering. You need a good covering, right? We need a good covering. We need a good covering. Like, I don't think people recognize how important it is to have a good covering, a good shepherd. First of all, the Lord is our shepherd. We shall not want. He maketh us to lie down in green pastures. God is our covering. He is our head. And when I'm talking about covering as well, I'm also talking about who is being that great example. Who are you looking up to for encouragement to build you up through the Spirit? If you don't have one, I can serve as your pastor. I can serve as your leader to guide you to peace, love, light, to guide you to wholeness, to allow you to see the truth about yourself, recognizing that just like these organisms, we are all for a purpose. We are designed as masterpieces, strategically created by a master artist for good works, just like these organisms are designed. Like we're planting potatoes. Potatoes are designed for a reason. It is serving as a source for us to eat. It's serving its purpose, right? What are you serving? How are you serving? You know? Just like this hay. this hay is a good covering for the potatoes, because now the potatoes is going to have something to shield it from the scorching sun, but allows it to grow and receive the best amount of sun and moisture that it needs. And this hay is also serving as a great source as compost. So it's going to break down on top of that to help that seed grow and produce good works. And that's what you need in a pastor, somebody who's going to cover you, to encourage you, to help you grow. It's going to break down stuff. It's going to break down the nutrients that you need. It's going to break down the word that you need, the motivation and the meditation and all the great mindfulness techniques that you need to help you produce good fruit. That's what we're here for. And you're trying to figure out, well, who are you? I'm Pastor G.I. Adams. I serve as overseer and lead pastor of Restoration Church. I've been in the ministry for over 25 years. And let me tell you, it has not always been easy. In fact, I had to go through some situations. But we glory in our tribulations. And when we are going through tribulations, then tribulations leads us to patience, and patience experience, and experience hope, and hope make not ashamed. And that the love of God that we have been given, it shed abroad in our life. Like, that's the emergency. That's what we need to recognize. That's the alert. That's the alert. That's the alert. Get connected to good covering. Y'all hear that? We need help. It's an emergency, y'all. It's an emergency that we get under good sound doctrine, that we get under a leader who's going to help you become your full self. That's what we're all about. I just want to welcome y'all to this experience. All right, so now that we got that covering on top of it, how will this covering add moisture? So we got to add some water. We got to add the living water. That cover needs to add not only nutrients, but that cover needs to add a word, which is Jesus. Jesus is the word. And I know, how do you get to that? Because when we have a good pastor is not going to only just break down life to help you get through life, to help you grow and produce good works. That pastor, that covering, is also going to connect you to the divine nature that we are all called to. And that is called in the faith of Jesus. We grow through him. And I remember Jesus being at the well with the Samaritan woman. He said, I am the living water. If anybody thirsts, they can come to me and they will never go thirsty again, because they have been connected to living water. And when you get connected to Jesus, you are getting connected to life and living water. So we're going to add this rainwater that we have collected with a little bit of turtle poop, which is going to add a little fertilizer to this whole bucket. And we're going to allow this to grow and do what it do, right? So this water is adding the moisture that it needs to this hay. And let's add that moisture on top of that. Add that Jesus. Soak it up with Jesus. The head needs to be soaked up with Jesus so that it can produce, so it can help the seed that's been planted to produce good works. Right? God's not mocked. It's real. Whatever you sow, it shall reap. When you are connected with good soil, a good seed, good covering, and living water, you're going to grow and produce something that's going to be beneficial to the world. And that's what I wanted to show you. I wanted to give you a visual of what that looks like by putting a potato in the dirt, which is good soil. The potato is you. You are the seed, and you've been connected around good community, like-minded community. If you need a church home, you can come to Restoration Church. We are always here for you. We are a church that are reaching all corners of the world, the church and unchurched, leading and encouraging all toward restoration in Christ. That is a good community right there. That's that soil, that good ground. Then what we have is you, the seed, being planted in that ground. And once you connect around good community, and then you have that seed planted in that good ground, then now you have a covering, which is that hay, that layer that's going to lead you and break down the nutrients that it needs and compost over you so that you too can produce good works. Now, after that covering has been covered, now you have the water to add the moisture to the seed so that you can continue to grow, so that you can continue to have everlasting life, so that you continue to live and enjoy your life, but have a full balance and rest in harmony, right? So you need to be around good soil. You need to have good soil. You need to be a good seed. You need to have a good covering, and you need to have moisture. You need to have water in order to produce good fruit. And after a while, patience. And when patience comes, experience. And experience, hope. And hope make it not ashamed. Our hope is that because we have been around good soil, that we've planted in good soil, and that we are good seed, and we have good covering, and the fact that we add living water, we'll be able also to produce good fruit. That's how we're masterpieces. That's how we were designed. From the dust of the ground, made and molded with the breath, with the hand of God, our master artist. And then he breathed into the nostrils life. That masterpiece became complete. When he breathed into that nostrils life, he became a living soul. But let me correct myself, because that man did not become complete until the woman came. That was the first imperfect statement that the master artist said. Man, everything else was good, but the one thing that was missing was a man having a helper. And so what he did was, that creation that he molded, he put it into a deep sleep, took out a rib, and created one man. And she became his helpmeet. So it's good for man not to be alone. So he made him a partner, made him a helpmeet, to help him to produce good works, to help him produce great value to the world. Who are you connected around? What are you connected with? And make sure that you are sowing good seed to the world, good works into the world, so that we all can receive a wonderful harvest together. One that is full of love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such, there is no law. This has been the Sow and Sow podcast. I hope that you have enjoyed this little experience that we had together, this actual visual experience of just planting that seed. And remember, God is not mocked. Don't be deceived by that. Whatever a man sows, shall also reap. Journey well, fam. Until we meet again. And when you sow them, you should be able to get these little baby ones, but get stuff like this. Ain't that beautiful? Just look at it. Make you want to just pop it in your mouth. But you get your own potatoes, and there we go.